Welcome back into Infamously Speaking. We are back after a couple of weeks off, and I'm going to be honest with you, everybody. Full transparency, what we do. It's been a tough couple of weeks. It's been a tough last couple of weeks. Very trying, very taxing. Not just physically, which, we all go through it, right? Not getting the best rest now and then, right? Maybe some days are more strenuous if you're hitting the gym or you just, whatever the fuck you're doing. But definitely mentally and spiritually taxing. I'm not sure how you feel, Quan. I'm not gonna even do the regular intro because I want to get right into the real shit, man. It's been a couple of weeks since we last recorded, and I just don't mean duration of time. I mean it's been a couple of weeks and some real shit. Man.
It's been off. We've been off. We apologize to our listeners, our viewers, and I was a little disappointed, if I'm being honest, right? Because we had so much consistency.
Mm-hmm.
We was overachieving our goal. We had a little step back, but sometimes that happens, and we talked about that throughout previous pods where you'll have step backs, but it's how you get back from them, right? You got to get up. How do you pivot? And we're back, and I'm excited to be back because, as Matt kind of alluded to, it's been tough mentally more than anything. I was actually just having a conversation with one of my boys who I haven't seen in a minute. He's like, Quan, you look like you lost a lot of weight. That's good. I was like, yeah, I worked on my physical a lot, obviously, right? We kind of been talking about that journey throughout these almost a year now, pretty much a year. And it's been great. It's been challenging, but it's been great. The journey's been awesome. I recommend it to anybody, right? If you're going to get healthier, if you're going to do better physically, it tends to help internally. So that's where I'm at now, where I'm working more on myself internally and spiritually, kind of like what you mentioned. So for those who don't know, or you won't know, right? Matt and I kind of talked previously to getting on this, but my excitement of talking about some of the things that I've been encountering spiritually sounded like if I was talking about the Super Bowl. Actually, well, I would have to say the Super Bowl prior to this one because I ain't really talk with excitement with the Super Bowl. But that's just for me to tell you, life happens. It's okay. As long as you wake up for another opportunity, you're golden. But yeah, well, how are you feeling? I feel like you always ask these great questions. Just so you know, too, I'm gonna preface this real quick, man.
Yeah.
There's no way I could ask you something and not cut you off. That's just like a tradition at this point.
It's all good, bro.
But you always ask these great questions. So I did jot down some questions that I'm gonna end up asking you throughout this show.
That's great. I'm glad you come. Look at journalistic Quan. This guy's good, man. 26 is a new leaf. I'm being honest. I'm doing better, man. I'm doing much better. I think there was a period of time, and I'm still kind of coming out of it, to be completely honest with you. But like the last couple of weeks, and I'm not really even sure why, to be completely honest with you, where I found myself getting really annoyed at things that normally wouldn't bother me at all. And I have no clue. And it's mainly a work thing. Thankfully, well, I view it hasn't really impacted stuff at home. But definitely, I could feel myself just for whatever reason, just little small things. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm thinking too much. It probably is that I'm thinking too much. Or people are asking too much. And not asking for too much. But just like, like you finally get a moment in your day is super hectic. And you're like, you know what? But I know that I have this 30 minutes of protected time that I'm going to be able to chill out. And it's going to be cool. And I'll just be able to kind of just turn off my brain and coast. And even in those spaces, I'm getting asked a bunch of questions. Yeah, and there's a lot of turmoil going on at work. A lot of people exiting. A lot of people eventually will be coming in. So I think a lot of people are kind of scrambling. And normally it hasn't impacted me, because we've gone through this exercise a couple of times, and it didn't impact me before. But it just could be because I'm being asked to do a little bit more in this activity that I wanted no part of, that is kind of throwing me off. And because of that, I'm getting annoyed. And I found myself doing that to the point where a couple of days ago, thankfully, I didn't hit send on this, but somebody sent something to me and I read it. I'm not going to get it because it's work related. So I'm not going to get into exactly what it said. But the way it came off, bro, I'm like, oh, this person, they're lucky we're not in person because we would have gotten into it. And you know me, like I don't get into it with people. I just let it ride.
Yeah.
Let it ride.
You're even killed. Yeah. Level head.
But that's kind of the point where I've been at. And so it's good to kind of it's really good actually to get back on a pod, kind of just talk some of these things out, talk through it. But thankfully, I hope be on the other side of not letting shit that normally wouldn't bother me. Because it's definitely impacted me. I could feel it.
So you said a few things I want to talk about, right? One is I agree with you. I missed the pod because it's like a sense of relief, right? We get to vent, we get to talk about what we're going through. Reminds me of therapy to a degree. You said turning a leaf, right? I actually just watched a little short, and it was about the tree. And he was talking about how the tree, right, it grows its leaves, and then wintertime, it falls. They fall off. And the tree knows it has to do that. I'm paraphrasing to this, just put that out there. But the leaves have to fall off. Otherwise, it's going to absorb all the energy and all the, everything necessary for that tree to survive. So the tree knows when to let it go. And it's almost like if you put that to life with people, sometimes you just have to let go because the way it drains your energy. Sometimes it's meant to be. Sometimes, and it ended like this in the video, which was, sometimes we have more grace than God, because God is telling you, maybe it's time that you separate, or, that's not a good, it's not a good pairing anymore. Not to get too deep, but that was the video I watched, so I just wanted to put that out there. But you said turn a new leaf, so it reminded me of it. So I had to throw that out there. The other thing is this, Matt, and it's funny because I'll give you your flowers where when I think of someone who's, cool, calm, and collected and always has these intellectual thoughts and the way you convey them and the way you carry yourself, I look to you a lot as like inspiring, if I'm being real, right? So to hear that and you being vulnerable, I appreciate it. Especially because I told you that I did something similar. It's kind of funny. But what I'll say is this, right? And it's funny because I wasn't really going to talk about this, but I feel like I should and I need to. The devil is a real thing, right? So he knows when you're feeling in those moments, and he'll turn the lights on and off.
You're good, bro. Like,
what I mean?
I feel like I'm playing a afternoon baseball game.
Nah,
I'm in the light, I'm not, and I'm trying to figure out what the best way to do it. Let me open up a little better.
So the devil's a real thing where when you have these thoughts, right, he's gonna use those against you. But it's also, now my question to you too, especially because you've been locked in with the faith a lot longer than I have, and I respect that. I also realize that, when you pray for patience, God don't just give you patience, he gives you situations so that you can practice patience, right? So maybe it was one of those moments where it's like, this is kind of what you asked for, man. You got to be patient and understanding to people.
Yeah, well, I mean, so a couple of things that you said that I found interesting. One, I'll just start with that one is, we definitely have an enemy, whatever faith someone believes in, right? Or if they don't believe in anyone, I mean, in any of it. I think we all can agree that there's a good force and there's a not so good one, right? There's the reason why no matter how good something can be, there's always something bad spoken about it. Why? Because there's good and there's bad, regardless of what you believe. And to your point, I mean, I think, it's so funny because you mentioned those thoughts, right? And I think people get tripped up in them. And that's what guilts people into thinking like, maybe I haven't changed if I'm still having those same thoughts that I did before when I was struggling. And the truth is, that's not you, right? The thoughts that you have, tell me this, right? Think of the most pure thing where you're like just completely happy. It's good. It's the right thing. For example, hanging out with your child, right? Going out, just having a dad-daughter day or dad-son day. And you're just going out, maybe you go to the park or whatever your favorite activity together is. You get some lunch after and you're great. Even in those moments when you're enveloped in that, sometimes thoughts that shouldn't come into your head still come into your head. You can't control the thoughts that come into your head because there is whatever you believe to be the bad force out there can slip it right in. And the thing is, it's so smooth and it's so natural that you think it's coming from you. Even though you're completely enveloped and enwrapped in this one situation. Why is that coming into your mind? Because, man, that negative force that's out there is faithful to come and slip in. And it's not you. The thing is, and where people get got is when you act upon it. That's where you get got. If the thought comes and it goes, and you didn't do nothing, that's a victory. And you should be like, yo, I won. It's when you act upon the thought. That's when you haven't changed. It's not when the thought comes into your mind. So that's number one. I would just throw that out there because I'm sure there's a lot of people that kill themselves over that very thing where it's like, I'm trying to change, but I'm still thinking about the things that I used to do that got me in trouble. If you don't fall victim to that thought and you allow it to just go by and you keep doing what you got to do, then you're good. Now you won. The other thing that you said that I thought was interesting is that, keeping people around in your life for longer than that. You heard that sometimes we have more grace than God, and I think that is interesting. One, I don't even know if it's possible. I know it's not. You can't have more grace than God. But sometimes grace isn't just keeping people around, right? Grace is, I don't even know. I can't really describe it. Some people say it's like undeserved favor. You can't earn it. To me, grace is just really like, that's who God is. It's grace. Everything about it, right? The whole experience. So I think more maybe what the person was trying to say is that because we think if we cut the person off, we're not showing love, or because we start doing something a little bit different, we interact with them different, we're not showing them love. It's not grace, but we talked about that on the show before, where it's like sometimes that's exactly what the person needs to be able to stand up on their own 2 feet is, I'm not going to just give you the easy handout. I mean, we talk about it all the time when it comes to a work perspective to make it relevant for people. We've all seen it, especially us that are in leadership positions where you're trying to coach somebody and it's always more effective when they turn the light bulb on themselves than when you just try to feed them the answer. So sometimes saying, hey, we're not going to do this way. Like, I'm not going to give you money every time you hit me up. No, I'm not just going to give you every free moment of my time for you to come in to my life and leave as you please. Sometimes they need that reality check because the words aren't working, right? And so I'm not sure if that's a lack of grace. More of it's just like, hey, what you're doing is hurting me. You say you love me, but you continue to do it. So whatever you're doing, you love more, which is fine. I respect that. But this is how things are going to be. And if you want it to be like how it was before, then these things need to happen, but only you can make that happen. And then they make their decision. So 2 interesting things you brought up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we have more grace than God. I'll just put that out there. The way the story was told and how it ended like that, I was like, wow, that's kind of intriguing to me. But since we're on that subject, I did have a question, right? Do you think that cutting someone off as a last resort, or if you did it earlier, does it actually save you the peace of mind?
That's good. That's good, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, because I'll say this, I'll preface my answer with this. There's definitely people that are more empathetic than others, like 100%. There's no denying that. And so I feel like there's also people that thrive off of that kind of connection, right? Like that's what fulfills them. That's what fills their battery. And so for those people, it might be a little bit harder to have that peace of mind if they cut somebody off. But I think it's also important to define what cutting the person off means in the situation. Do you mean like I'm just cutting them off, I'm not having no communication with them, they're all set? Or do you mean I'm kind of rolling back how much they have access to me, or how much I might engage in a conversation with them or hang out with them?
Let's go to the extreme and
Yeah,
say cutting them off
completely. I can only speak for myself, right? And I would say this. Here's how I look at it, right? and this is a tough one because I would like to think of myself as an empathetic person. I'm definitely someone
Oh,
who
we had like 17 shows about self-awareness, and you're gonna say you're an empathetic
I think
person?
so,
It's
man. I think
wild.
I am. I think that's part of one of the skills that helps me. Um, I don't know. That's just
You
helped me be
literally just talked
successful.
about responding to someone, and then if you seen them in person, it
I'm
was
gonna
on
fight him.
site.
I want to fight him. Right, but
Yeah.
you see how I didn't even send the message. Right, I talked about how I deleted the message.
No. We're not talking about the message. We're talking about if it was you seen this person, it was on site.
On site. It still might be. I don't know yet. So here's what I'd say. I think if it's because we say this sometimes on the show too, right? There's people that are meant to be there that are in your life that you meet along your journey. That's just for a certain period of time. You play your role in their life or in their journey, and they played their role. And sometimes that role is helping to toughen you up a little bit. And I don't mean become jaded or calloused. What I mean is, I know we all have people in our family that struggle with certain things. I'm just using family because I think it's a common point for people. Or we have friends that we consider family, people that we grew up with. Well, your lives took two different paths. And at that point, you know that hanging around them, and we talked about earlier, right? Those negative thoughts, right? Makes you do negative things. And at one point, you have to choose what's more important, living the life that I want to live or living this life so I can stay attached to this person. And whatever decision you make, you're going to sleep in that bed. And if you better be okay with that decision that you just made, if you decide to go down that road. But if not, then you explain it to the person saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. You want to keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to, but just understand what this means for our relationship moving forward. And for me, while it might be a difficult conversation, I think when you look back on it, it'll probably be one of the best conversations you ever have. And you
All right,
won't
so
have
let me
that
give you.
guilt. You won't have that guilt.
Let me raise the difficulty level a little.
I was already difficult.
I'm raising it. What if you're cutting people off who really necessarily aren't doing wrong?
Give me an example.
So even myself recently,
Mm-hmm.
I've cutting a lot of people off. Friends, there's group chats I'm not even responding to, or I'm not even reading them, to be quite honest. And I'm not engaging. I'm not talking to a lot of people.
Okay.
So I'll tell you why I do it in a minute, but unless you want me to go first, so you can have a little bit more, like, I guess, depth of where I'm coming from.
Well, I think right there, the why is really going to be the crux of everything. So yeah, absolutely. If you would entertain me.
So, like I said, I've been working on myself physically throughout
Mm-hmm.
the year,
Mm-hmm.
where I realized that's good because I'm surviving, right?
Right.
Because, like I told you when you said what motivates you, is like I wanted to live, but internally I'm still nowhere near where I need to be or where I want to be. So I felt like even though people weren't necessarily doing anything wrong, I needed that for myself. Pretty much isolate myself and just be focused on how do I get better. And that's what kind of got me into where I was talking about earlier, pre-show and at the beginning of the show, where like I'm tapping in spiritually a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more. And I know someone watching may say something because I'm having a drink and I'm talking about this, but I'm still human. I already did it, and I'm just speaking my mind, speaking my piece. But that's to give you some more context.
Right. So, and I appreciate that. So this is how, when you were saying that, what was kind of going through my mind was there's what's wrong, right? Like we know to be wrong, right? Just straight wrong, right? Like crime activity, right? And then if you know that if you go out with this certain group and you go out and you go to the club, there's a chance that those people are going to get into fights and they're going to do things that that you don't want to be involved with, right? That's just wrong, right? That you don't want to get involved in. But then there's also things that are wrong for you. Like let's say you want to stop, let's say you smoked and you wanted to stop smoking. But whenever you go around this group of individuals, you know, you're having a couple of drinks, having a good time, you're like, you know what? I'll smoke. Why not? Right? Well, then you know that, hey, maybe if my goal is to cut this habit and not do it and not be around it, then I can't go to those places. You can have the conversation with them if like, hey, no, Quan, we notice you're not coming around as much. How come? And you could be like, this is what I'm trying to do. I don't want to be around people that are smoking. I don't want to be around it. I'm trying to get healthier, whatever it might be. And so what they could do is, man, maybe I'm like, man, but I want Quan to be around. He's a good guy to be around. He's my boy. We've known each other forever. So if I really want you around, what would I do? I'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to smoke while he's around. I won't do it. Because I know that you're on this journey and I want to support you as your boy. And I know that if you come around and you see me smoking, it can negatively influence you. So to avoid that, you don't even put yourself in the situation. And I'll give an example for myself. You know that on Saturday nights, I don't do anything. I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't do any of it on Saturdays. I didn't even like to close on Saturdays because I'm like, I want to be in bed early because Sunday morning is the most important day of my life. I'm hearing a word, and I got to be locked in. I don't want any distractions. I want any excuses of why I couldn't be and receive what I needed to receive. And I'm not sure if you remember, but there was a time shout out our guy, Tone was doing a holiday party. So he invited, and he was like, yo, I want you guys to come through. And I was like, I can't because it's a Saturday. And shout out to Tone because he's a real one. He's like, all right, I'll move it to Friday. And he did it. And he asked me why I couldn't come through. Yeah. And because he wanted me to be able to pull up and so we can enjoy ourselves, he was like, all right, I'll move it to Friday. So, it's again, him having a party on Saturday isn't wrong. It's not a wrong thing. But it was wrong for me to attend it because I know what I was trying to do. And so that's how I would say it. Like, if you know that getting involved in those group chats might negatively impact your mood, then you don't impact. It's not wrong for the other people to do it. That's what they want. But if you know it's going to impact you, then you avoid it. And if they ask you why and you tell them, they can either A, say, you know what? All right, we'll keep doing what you're doing and forget whatever you want to do, or they'll make changes. And that is what it is.
So let me turn the difficulty up just a little bit more.
Golly.
What if it's not a situation like that? Because I'm going to be real. Like, there's some people, that I want to distance. And it's not necessarily anything that they're doing. It's not
why.
Smoking, they're drinking. It's just, I need that for me.
But there's a why.
I feel like
there's a why you want to distance yourself from that person.
But it's an abundance of people.
Okay.
So it's really not. It's just that I guess the why is I want to be in my own world.
Okay.
I want to be in my own world where I don't got to talk to no one if I don't want to. I don't got to answer to anything. I don't got to respond to anything. And that's just what it is.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. As you're like maybe talking to less people, is it just at random you're choosing? Like, hey, I'm going to start talking to this person less, not talk to that person at all. And it's just random, like you're throwing darts at a dartboard? Or is it like, it's just more purposeful? Like, I'm just not going to talk to that person at all.
I want to say it's purposeful, but it's not singling anybody out. Because it's almost like everybody. Like, I have so much drama and trauma that I'm going through that I don't want to engage with anything. If I'm being real, now that I think about it, I think it's trauma that I may have encountered, especially at the beginning of the year, where it changed who I am respectfully, right? Like, I hate that it's changed me because I don't want anything to change me, right? We talked about it. Like, I don't move with malice. I'm not trying to move with malice. Mm-hmm. I just want to be in peace, if I'm being completely honest. I don't want to engage with anything. And I feel like that person might have great intentions for me, great friendship. I knew people for many years, but if I stay engaged, it's an opportunity for me to be betrayed or hurt or whatever the case may be.
Well, see, that's different.
So that's a me thing, right? So I understand that. But at the same time, all I ask is that people respect that, because I have friends that are like, Quan, you don't hit me up no more. I'm like, yo, bro, I can't. It's not even that I just don't want to. It's like I can't. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that right now. And if you don't respect it, then you don't respect it. But at the same time, I have to do what I feel like is necessary, and that's protect my peace. And right now, my peace is just me tapping into spiritual stuff that I've been watching and, reading. But that's kind of where I'm coming from. That's kind of why I'm asking you these questions, because I'm
Yeah.
curious on your thoughts. But yeah,
No, that's valid, bro. That's really valid. And I mean, I think you said it right there. Obviously, your experiences impact you're just like how you move forward. I'm just trying to pull something that maybe I could relate to myself. Like I know, and this is a while back, right? But like I remember after I left high school, a lot of the people that I fucked with in high school, I stopped talking to, and it was just because, again, they was doing one thing, I was doing another. They were still going out and doing these things, and I was like, I don't really value those things. Like I valued the company because I know a lot of them since I was, I was young. We played youth sports together, came up, through pre-K all the way through high school together. So that's one thing. But then I also kind of get that too. Like I know, like when we had Emmanuel, I just remember like really, really locking in and being like, I'm not sure if you remember, like I barely went out anymore. I was always like work, home, work, home, work, home, work. And that was really what it was. And it wasn't a trauma thing. Like we're used to, because what you talking about, what you experienced earlier in the year. I think for me it was just like kind of like a new leaf, the leaf theme, right? A new leaf in life. And it was kind of just like, this is what I'm locked in at the moment, because I don't think what you're going through right now is going to be forever, because you're a social person, right? Unless that's gone too. I don't think it is, right? I know you're someone who likes to socialize,
Hmm.
right? So it could just be like this, and who knows, maybe it's until June or July. But to your point too, maybe this is your time in life where it's like, yo, this is what I'm locked in on at the moment. This is what I'm valuing. And you could be honest with people too. Like if there's some relationships you might not mind if they kind of fall by the wayside, right? Like, hey, I played my role in their life, they played their role in mine. I'll always have love for this person. If they ever hit me up at 2 a.m. saying, hey, yo, I got a flat tire, can you help me out? Absolutely, I'll be there for them. Doesn't mean we need to talk every day, but I'll be there for them. But other than that, right, like, I'm cool with the relationship going by the wayside. But if there's other people who are like, nah, it's my boy, I just need them to understand that, like, this is what I'm going through. What you said earlier, like, if you explain that and they're like, wow, he's fake for that, then it is what it is. But if you're like, y'all, I'm prioritizing this walk right now, and it's always going to be a priority for me, but right now I'm really, really locking in. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, man. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's anything wrong, because if I did, I probably wouldn't do it, because I feel like try to stand on more morals and stuff. But like, I just feel like, and it's funny you mentioned the social thing, because I clearly got rid of social, right? But that was also me protecting that peace, or at least getting in a space where I could just be clear and not have to deal with shit. Or
You
at
know,
least,
go ahead,
uh,
bro. No, go ahead, go
now go
ahead.
ahead. The
I
light
was
is
saying,
shining on you. It's wow. It's
like that the sun is literally like right in front of me.
yeah,
It's kind of
I
blinding me
see.
a little bit. No, what I was gonna say too is like sometimes too, like especially when you start that walk and you really get devoted, and I know you said it kind of off the air where it's like you kind of become completely enveloped in it. Where it's like, you know what, like what my spare time, that's what I want to be doing. It's almost like it's like when you get in a new relationship, right? If we're tying it to those, because I don't want to kind of exclude people that don't have the same kind of faith that we do, right? Because I understand that, right? That's a personal journey, and not everybody, believes in that. But it's like when you get in a new relationship, right? And you're really excited about it, and your spare time, you want to be with that person. Or when you first get hooked in the gym, right? And you're like, man, I'm hitting the gym. Like you're super excited. That's all you're kind of thinking about. That's where you are right now, right? And hopefully that's where you're gonna be for as long as you want to be in that spot, right? So I think
Yeah,
that's
like
one thing
enveloped
too,
enveloped in this
right?
in my spirituality. Yeah.
But I think another thing too is I don't everything for a reason. We talk about that all the time on the show, right? Everything for a reason. There's a reason that right now, this moment in your life, this is the path that you're on. There's a reason that it wasn't a year earlier, 10 years earlier, and there's a reason why it's not a year later or 10 years in the future. There's a reason it's right now for this very moment, right? Like, think about this year in review. Everything that you went for, everything that you went through, it's like you heard something either right before or during it that helped you get through whatever you were going through. There's a reason for that because you're never going to face something you can't conquer. And so I think that's an important thing too. So when you're locked in, you're locked in. But also, and like I said this about leaders, I think I said it on the show. I love it when the people in my life that I interact with, especially those that lead me, gain knowledge. You know why? Because they're good people. They're going to share that with me. And that's going to help increase the quality of my life. Either you teach me something new that I can apply, you put me on to something that I enjoy, whatever it might be, right? You never know, because of what you're doing right now, who you'll inspire. When you've heard something, if you share that with somebody, how that'll inspire them to maybe start their walk or just get them out of a rut because it inspires them, because it motivates them, because it's exactly what they needed to hear at the exact right time. Those are just a couple of things that kind of came to mind. You know, there's a reason for everything. And it's not for us to understand, I think is a key thing too. Sometimes we get too caught up in trying to understand things that it stops us from taking action. Understanding will come. Just remain patient. You look back on it, think about all the things you didn't understand as a kid. You look back now, especially at your own kid, and you're like, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. You gain wisdom as you grow.
Yeah. No, that's real. You know, I'm not one to like preach, especially because, so when I say that to say this, right? Because I'm so enveloped in what I'm encountering spiritually and what I'm seeking, I'm going to naturally talk about it. It's not that I'm preaching. I don't want people to think that. It's just I'm speaking from the heart and from experience of what I'm going through. And that's a big part of just having that faith, right? I don't know why I'm doing the things I'm necessarily doing or why I'm excluding myself from circles and people and friends and family. But I have faith that there's a reason that's happening.
Totally.
And one of the other things I just saw was continuing that faith, right? Like, and I think that even the trauma might even be the reason why it's segued myself to seek that, is asking like why, right? When we go through hardships, a lot of the time, that's probably the first question most people ask is like, why? Why me? Why am I going through this?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah. Yes. But really, to me, what I understand now is like, that's just me an opportunity to show my faith in the hardship. Not just when it's good. Let me show you why I'm faithful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, understanding that there is light at the end of that tunnel. Understand that this is a lesson to be learned. And that's what I'm excited about right now. And I know that I'm dressed like I'm ready to sign a deal with New York right now, but I gotta speak what's on my heart. And shout out to Matt to pivot, because Matt really wanted to talk about the draft and the playoffs, and I respect that. But if I'm being real, that's not what I'm engaged with right now. Even that, if you think about it, right? Like, sports was everything to me for the majority of my life. And I don't even care to talk about that right now. I want to talk about what's my desire, what's burning inside right now. And we talk about it, right? We have this platform. And if we can make one influential change to somebody in a positive manner, then let's do that. And granted, right, like Matt said, we're not trying to make or persuade anybody from what they necessarily believe in, but I got to speak my truth and tell you how I feel and my experiences and what I'm going through, and I'm going to do that.
Totally. Listen, I agree with you. I'm not a pastor. Neither of us are. It's not our job, right? Our job is to, if you believe, is just to live the way that you know to be right, that you've been taught to be right, and that's it. And let that do the preaching. And even that, right? Like, to bring it full circle back to the top of the show, even in that we fall short. Or I do. I'll speak for myself. I fall short.
No, I do.
And it's a daily battle, right? Like, and I think that's the difficult part, right? Because And hopefully, that's what speaks. This speaks with people to people that might not believe, or whatever your faith is that like, nah, I'm not perfect, man. Like I'm not. You might be a
Far
better.
from it.
There's a good chance you're a better person than I am, right? And you don't believe, right? There's a very good chance. I make mistakes every day. I'm not the best husband I can be. I'm not the best dad I could be. I'm not the best employee, friend, coworker, peer, acquaintance, whatever. I'm not. I make mistakes on the daily. Again, it's just that is why I go to church every Sunday. That is why I like to engage in conversations like this. To hear the great things that are happening to other people, to be like, hey, if that happens to them, it'll happen for me too. I'm latching on to that. But then also, it helps kind of shine a spotlight on myself, because for me, that's really what it became. I think it's the same reason why people really seek therapy, right? It's to solve problems that they have, the whys of life, right? Why am I this way? Why do I respond this way? How can I become better? And for me, Sundays are that therapy session. And really, what's being spoken in the word, that's the mirror that I hold up in front of myself to be like, man, you got a lot of work to do. But it's also, I think, I know what helps me show up to have conversations, to be vulnerable, to show up and do good work, and not to not be ashamed to say, hey, I made this mistake. Forgive me if I hurt somebody. But then also, how can I improve so I'm not letting these things bother me as much as they used to, or how I could just avoid situations altogether. Like if I know that this is what's going to happen at that interaction, I just won't even go. And I think one thing that sometimes people don't realize is that there's pain for the person that's removing themselves from the situation. There's pain in that.
Wow.
You know that you enjoy this person's company, right? You know that. And hopefully they know that too. You're like, the sacrifice that you're making to do this, to walk this way, to live this certain way. When people quit cigarettes, that really is a big deal, because they know that that was something that brought them comfort when they were stressed. It was something that helped them calm down, or whatever it might be. People who give up alcohol, right? They use that a lot of times as a coping mechanism because of all the shit that they have to deal with. And they're giving that up, knowing that they're going to have to face those issues that alcohol helped dull.
Mm-hmm.
And so you should applaud that. If they're like, hey, listen, I'm not going to go out. I don't want to drink. I enjoy your company, but I know if I'm with you, I'm going to drink. So I'm not going to do it. It's not because they don't want to. They're not cutting you off. They're cutting off the situation. I think that's another thing. Like, people are cutting off situations. You're not necessarily cutting off people. You're cutting off situations.
What you just said were like people, because they're involved, right? So naturally they just look at it from their perspective and their side of like, oh, this person don't give a fuck.
Right.
When in reality, you do. And it hurts, but it's like, I need to do this for me.
Yes.
But, you also, I got another question for you. Right? And then I'm tying this in specifically because I talked about sports and how it's always been near and dear to me. It still is, just obviously not nearly as much as it was, right? But give me a value or something that you held close to yourself, or maybe like 5 years ago, or any time span that you choose, that you realize isn't actually as important to you anymore.
Wow. That's a good one.
Thanks.
Oh, man. I should have been like a question you asked at the beginning of the show. Like, think about this as we talk. Wow.
I mean, while you're thinking about it, I'll talk a little bit more about
Sure.
Scooby.
Man, I don't even know if if like off the top I could think of a value that I used to think I was important. Maybe even I used to live by, but that I realized maybe not as important.
Maybe you don't have one. I see you got a nice cut though.
Appreciate it. Shout out to my guy, Kylan. Got me right.
No, there's no way.
Facts. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have one off the rip. I mean, I think I wouldn't even say this, but I just to answer the question, In school you're taught like treat people the way you want to be treated, and obviously I think that's important. But for me, is as I've gotten older, it's more like treat other people how they're supposed to be treated because that's who you are, not because you want something in return from that person. Because that'll eventually come, right? But it's more because you're the one that's standing on business because that's who you are. That's what you've been taught. And because that person chooses to be nasty or whatever, it doesn't mean that you have to reflect that. And so I think that's, if anything, that's just coming to mind right now. It's not necessarily scrapping that whole theory, but cutting the how you want to be treated and you treat
How
them
you
that way
should be treated.
because that's who you are and how they
Yeah,
act
if you're
doesn't
a
dictate how you
snake, I
treat them.
shouldn't treat you. And I think that's and I didn't think about this question, if I'm being honest with you. I didn't. But as you said that, and as I was thinking of maybe, what's something that I value that I fell back from, what I don't think is as important. I think the one of mine is in a similar. It's actually probably the same answer without even being. Is just I was always a type, and this actually came out in one of my sessions. Is like I would sacrifice my own happiness to give, right? And that's what put me up in a fucked up situation. Now, most will say that's honorable, that, I chose friendship or whatever, right? And it's like, yeah, maybe it was, but ultimately it caused so many other issues for me. So it's like, I guess one of the values, if I'm speaking from the heart right now, is like, I don't always have to put other people first. And I think that's probably why I did what I've done, which is isolate and cut ties.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because what you just spoke about right there is love. If you think about it, man, that's what love is, though. It's sacrificing for somebody else. That's what love
Yeah,
is.
but what about
Well, listen to this, because you talked about your situation. You said that puts you where you're at. Okay, you went through what you went through, and you're still going through some of it. But because of that, as you continue to get further away from it, that negative is becoming a positive because now you're having this experience you're having right now. See, the thing is, people who it doesn't matter in the moment, it might seem like you lost because you did the right thing, right? You helped somebody out in their time of need. You sacrificed. There's no denying that. And it looks like you got burned, right? And it can feel that way. And if you stopped doing what was right, you would have then that's it. But if you continue to do what's right, and now look how you're being rewarded. This new outlook on life, this positivity in the face of the worst situations. How? How do you have that mindset? You see? Because you kept on doing what was right. So that, regardless of what it is, because that's what love is. I mean, listen, you get in a relationship. Think you're a parent, so you know this very, very well. Kids do fucked up shit, right? They do. Right? They're kids. They're learning, and they're selfish, and they do what they do. That just is what it is. And you, as the parent, do nothing but provide for them, support them, right? Show up for them in the moments that you need them to show up. So you're sacrificing your happiness to see this person win. But at the end, you're going to be rewarded. Like, think about the relationship you have with your daughter. She adores you. She loves being around you. She values your advice. She values the time she gets to spend with you. If the moment she became a teenager, right, and was giving you a ton of headaches, you're like, man, I'm getting robbed. I put all this work in, and this is what I'm getting out of it. But because you kept doing what was right, you are here now. You're like, this is better than I could have ever imagined it to be. Because you kept on doing what was right. So I'm not sure what you were gonna say, but that's what love is, bro. It's sacrificing.
No, I could agree with that, right? Especially because of where I'm at now with the enlightenment. You gotta edit that one, right? But it was a lesson. I think it was a lesson that needed to be learned. I wouldn't do the same thing though. So is that not love if I wouldn't do the same thing? To me, that's loving myself at that point. But to respectfully, right? It's not
Yeah.
like and you mentioned no. And my advice would be the same.
Don't have
If
kids?
there's a friend in need, and
Is
huh?
that what don't have kids? Oh, that's what you were going. Like, that would be
No,
my
no,
advice.
no,
Don't do it.
no. If there's a friend in need, you don't have to extend your hand.
Yeah. See, that's a tough one. But again, it's all what we believe to be the right thing. Just how I grew up, right? And I've seen it happen throughout my entire life. I mean, I talk shit out my dad. I talk this a lot. Listen, if 2 people need to eat, 2 people will eat. If 3 people need to eat, 3 people will eat. 4, 5, just keep going on because you'll make it work. And everybody's gonna have to sacrifice, but no one's gonna go hungry. And that just is what it is. Not around here. No one's going hungry. I might have a little bit less on my plate, but that is because you have a confidence that when it's harvest time, you're gonna reap. And with the same measure you give, it's the same measure that's gonna be given back to you. So I'm not saying that it's easy when you're in the fire. I'd be lying. You're gonna get pressured. You're gonna get pressure. You're gonna get pressure. You can get pressure. You can get pressure. 100%. And you're gonna want to break. But at the end of the day, you continue to do what's right and you don't grow weary in doing good, you can never give too much. You won't lose. You won't lose. Right? I mean, even the world believes that. It's karma, right? We call it karma. What goes around comes around. You do good, good's going to come back around to you. Whether you believe in God or not, everybody believes in karma. Everybody believes in that. Your wrongs eventually catch up with you. All the good things you do eventually catch up with you. That just is what it is. But again, that's just the mindset that I have because that's how I was raised from small. It was like, listen, you got a plate of rice and this guy comes through hungry, then you have half a plate of rice now. And if another person comes along, now you got a third of plate of rice, fourth, eighth. But you know what? At least everybody ate something. But now you got more people to go out and go out and work, send people out to try to bring in. So I don't know. That's how I was brought up, man.
All right. And I respect that, right? But let's just say the first person you gave a portion of that rice to took the whole thing. And in fact, not only did they take the whole thing, they took your next plate, which was going to feed you and your child, right? So let's put this out there. I'm not even mad that I did the right thing. I don't feel, right? I'm not. Because like you said, it put me where I am. I needed to go through that. For whatever reason, I needed to go through that. But now I'm more conscious and I am more wary if I had to do that again.
I mean, I think that's human nature, though. Of course, that's human nature. That's like, hey, like to just simplify it, right? Like, man, I touched the stove when I was a kid and that shit burned my hand. I'm going to be really cautious around the stove. But, right, I'm not going to stop using the stove. I'm not going to use the stove less because I burned myself. But to your point, you might be more strategic around the stove, if that makes sense. Right? It's not like you're not going to give, because that's not true. But what you're going to do is you're going to be open and honest and have conversations to be like, hey, this is what it is. And if these things aren't met, then this is what's going to happen. And that is what it is. You might say, you know what? If I'm ever going to do that again, I'm going to have these guidelines drafted up, written, everybody signed, going to give it to a third party so that way they have it and that's it. It is what it is. There's no debating it. All the avenues, because you learned a lot through that experience, right? So it's not that you won't open your doors ever again. But how you do it, it might just be more structured next time. Because now you know, because you got burned when you touched the stove. But you're just not gonna use the stove anymore. So I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. And it makes sense, right? It's like saying, hey, I know there's a hole here because I fell into it. You're not gonna get out of the hole and then walk right back into it. But you might build a bridge over it. You might just walk around it. And then you might put lights around it. So when it's dark out and you take that road, you know that the hole is there because you can't see it, but you see the lights. You're gonna do things differently, 100%. But that's not to say that you don't love. And then to take it to like the loving yourself, and this is where I chat, like loving yourself isn't like treating yourself. And I'm not sure if you agree with that. Like when I think about love, I don't think about treating myself or being good to myself. when I think about loving myself, I think about it's making sacrifices to better my future or better my present. Right. So like when you talked about your health journey, you had to sacrifice a lot of shit, right? To get where you're at. And it wasn't easy for you. But wouldn't you say that your fitness journey was a massive form of self-love? I would say so. What you're doing right now, in the path that you're on right now, you're kind of sacrificing some of the relationships that you had. But now you feel like I'm setting myself up for better things. But you had to sacrifice. And you know you're sacrificing. You know how much it hurts to not be around certain things. It's not a form of self-love. You have to sacrifice. And that's what loving other people is too. So I agree with the fact that you need to love yourself first before you can love other people. Because in loving yourself, you're learning how to sacrifice to better yourself. And when you love yourself, you can apply that to other people. Sacrifice to help better other people. Sacrifice to help make other people happy, kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to tie that.
So, no, I do know what you mean. But how much of yourself do you sacrifice?
As much as
I think that's what my problem is.
As much as you're willing to go.
Or is I sacrifice more than I should have, is what I feel like.
Not to get biblical, but there's a scripture that says there's two people. There's one who gives more than he should, but he's never without. And there's one that doesn't give, that holds back, and he's found to be wanting. He's lax. You can never do enough good. It might seem in the moment that you're like, man, this guy, he's giving too much. You can't outgive God. And he's the one that's repaying you back. So,
wow.
I mean, you could try it. Go ahead. All you're gonna do is get blessing. You could try.
Wow, that was good.
Yeah, I'll send you that scripture. I don't know the exactly where it is, but it's
the verse and all that. Yeah.
Find it.
Good. That was really good.
Yeah, man. So I think it's, but it's not like, I know I'm saying these things, and I hope to the people listening to you, like, I'm not saying these things as like it's easy, because it's not. And again, like I said, I still struggle in that. I struggle with those things. I'm just sharing that, what I've seen to be true in my life, what I've applied. And I'm sure, again, people that don't believe in the things that we believe in, they've seen it. When you do good and you keep doing good, it's going to eventually return back to you, especially if you hold on and keep doing what's right. In fact, I just heard that on Sunday. Like, there's a scripture talking about don't grow weary in doing good. In due time, you're going to get what's coming to you. That's it. You know what I mean? And the thing is, whose time? It's not ours, but it's not what we need is going to show up exactly when we need to show up. And that is what it is. But again, it's all about having that belief. And you won't have that belief unless you make the sacrifices to press in and to hear, to learn, and then to apply it.
No, that's valid. That's valid. I appreciate this conversation.
What? This guy was good asking some difficult questions.
You inspired me once again. Could you put me on a hot seat a couple times, and I could appreciate that. Because I love a conversation that makes you think. In respect to you, that's the reason why I thought about specific conversations that we might have and how these questions might relate. And I appreciate you responding to them. Even the ones that you had to think a little bit. I appreciate that because, I know it's a challenging thought, and I'd rather have those conversations than just a surface level one. I think
agree.
That's important, not just to our viewers, but even to myself, where it's like, obviously I value your responses and whatnot. So to challenge you and have you answer those, I appreciate you doing that. Because I know it's not easy. You do it to me every other episode. So
no, it's not.